So I listen in the back of the room, I'm listening to all this, and I'm thinking the ideas really are the easy part. It's complicated. And I think you heard that in all three presentations that were being made. So while our panelists are making their way to the podium, I'm going to thank a couple of other people just quickly. Cleantech San Diego is our partner. They've been part of Connect and involved from Connect and have been a great partner for us. They're doing a terrific job. I mentioned the 700 companies that are operating here. That's their base. Gates Photography and AMN Healthcare, whose facility we're in, and Staler Made Video, whose video is recording this. So if I could come on up, let me give you this other mic. I'm going to start the questions by asking. I'm going to ask the question to start it off. Since so much of this deals with policy, and you heard from sort of the federal perspective, you heard from the state perspective, and you've heard about the financing involved, actually both, and the regulations. There's so many things involved, but if you, each panelist, could change one thing in your area of expertise on a policy basis, what would that be? What's the one thing that would make a big difference if it got corrected, fixed, or eliminated? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
National feed-in tariff.
So go ahead, expand.
I don't know, but most of you probably are aware of the renewable energy market in my home country, Germany, and how it has evolved over the last 15, perhaps 20 years. And the reason is a feed-in tariff. Feed-in tariff is basically a fixed price for the delivery of energy, normally a little bit higher than market. It's a little bit more expensive to promote renewable energy. But just came back from a German-American renewable energy conference in Berlin. And I was blown away by what happens in Germany these days and what the goals are. Believe it or not, the official goal in Germany is to have 100% renewable energy by 2050. 100%. And even the utilities believe that this will be possible. Now, Germany is a land country without natural resources, and the main fuel for electrical energy is the gas pipeline to Russia. And relying on the gas pipeline that comes out of Russia is probably not a good thing. Hasn't been in the past, and it's not going to be in the future. So there's a true incentive there, and it costs a little bit. There's the willingness to socialize costs, to openly socialize costs. Let's put it this way. I think here in the United States, costs are being socialized, but not openly. The other day I was listening to National Public Radio on my way to the office, and there was a report about an interrogation by a Senate committee of someone at the DOE. And some Republican senator, obviously against renewable energy, asked, how long do we have to subsidize solar until it's viable and can stand on its own feet? And the person from the DOE was pretty smart. He said, you know what? I don't think that we have to subsidize solar longer than oil, so 80 years would be enough. And I think that's the point. How are we going to subsidize it? Are we going to make it as complicated as it is right now with ITC and monetization strategies, which bring the cost of doing business up to the wazoo? Another little story, we closed the deal about 2 years ago, last minute. the debt coverage, the debt provider broke off, was 2008, not the best time. Needed to close by December 31st, 2008. And by end of October, a new debt provider came in, and they put in their attorneys, and I know it like it was yesterday. The attorneys started on November 16. We closed on December 31st. It was an $85 million transaction. The attorneys for the debt provider alone cost $1.6 million. 6 weeks, $1.6 million on an $85 million transaction. That's too much. We need to.
You're going to lower your rates? Is that what you're saying?
It was not us. It was not us. I can proudly say that we were about 1/3 of that, and we were lead counsel for the developer. But being that, just to address that, but I think to make it easy and to make it straightforward, make it financeable. Okay? A plain old debt leveraged cash flow financing, like you have financing for projects in Germany under a feed-in tariff, or in Ontario under a feed-in tariff, and in other countries where you have a less complicated structure like ITC, I think that would be a real big breakthrough.
Frank, what are you going to change?
Well, my number one would also be the feed-in tariff, but number two, being realistic, it would be to try to get a tradable REX in place in California, because it's a market-based method of financing. It doesn't require any government subsidies. So that means that if we can get that going, that it's not dependent on government, and yet it can provide a revenue stream to get things built.
Tom? Tax.
Well,
Yeah, other than December.
yeah, I mean, from a tax standpoint, it really goes to, if Congress chooses to use the tax code as a way to incentivize this industry, the key change is policy, long-term policy certainty. And whatever policy is in place, if it's, Americans are very creative, especially in financing issues, and so to the extent that you put a policy in place that is of a long-term view, they'll find ways to use the current rules to efficiently monetize tax credits or finance the project. And the problem is historically the incentives have been 2-year extension, 1-year extension, retroactive, they expire and then retroactive. And so it's been hard for a lot of companies to build out manufacturing in order to bring down the cost because of the time horizon of, look at a wind power company that has the incentives that are integral to their economics falling off a cliff after 2012.
So predictability and understanding one of the things investors
right.
hate.
But it goes against how Congress is with the 2-year election cycle.
So Jerry, talk about the one thing that you would do in your experience at Canon that would make your life easier in terms of maybe a regulation.
No, for sure, long-term commitment. Just a long-term national commitment. It could be characterized in the form of a feed-in tariff. It could be even longer term than what would impact our project, but is a commitment to education. There's no reason why new technologies cannot also be designed and developed here. Right now, we as a country, whether you are the dirty utility or coal miner, or just the common consumer, we fail to recognize our carbon footprint, whether it's mercury in streams or whether it's large SUVs, etc. And we pass that cost on to the environment. We don't charge those emitters. They're obviously larger transgressors than, say, the individual, but you don't have to look too far sometimes. And until you do that, it's then difficult to rationalize sort of quote-unquote high renewable energy prices relative to the cheap stuff that we love, that air conditions our homes and heats our pools, etc. So